Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this first webinar in our Teamed Up with Dustin's webinar series regarding Office 365. We hope you're all safe at home. This is the first one in a line of series of webinars that we'll be conducting around Office 365. And this first one, of course, will be regarding Teams itself. We'll start off with the agenda here. We'll have an introduction. I have a couple of friends along, and then we'll jump right into Teams. It's going to be an overview. A lot of it's going to be from the ground floor, I'll have to admit. Later on, we're going to dive into a little bit of the functionality within Teams and how that can play and help you when you're working from home, some of the experiences that we've had and we know some of our clients have had. Then we'll talk a little bit about some of the new things in Teams and end it all off with my good colleague Marcus talking a little bit about the different offerings and how we're helping clients start their digital journey with Microsoft 365. So before we go for any further, there's a Q&A. Feel free to go in there and ask some questions. If we have some time at the end, we'll take some of them up. If not, we'll get back to you. Just leave your name in there, and then we'll get back to you afterwards and give you some answers. So feel free to use that. But first off, joining me today is my two colleagues, Marcus and Frederick Hansen. My name is Lars Christensen. Let's hear a little bit about you first, Marcus.
My name is Marcus Andersson, Service Project Manager for Software as a Service. I have more than 15 years of experience in the software area. And my mantra is always striving to improve. Over to you, Frederick.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Frederick Hansen. I'm an Office 365 consultant, and I actually did my first Office 365 migration 7 years ago, and that customer is still being evolving today. And I love the feeling of getting things done and win as a team.
That sounds good, guys. My name is Lars Christensen. I work from Dustin here in Brøndby in Copenhagen, Denmark. Today we're all sitting in our homes, so this is a bit of a new experience. But the day-to-day, I sit in our offices in Brøndby in Denmark. I'm also a Microsoft 365 senior consultant and been working with Microsoft products approximately 20 years. One of the main things that I focus on when I'm dealing with clients is for the projects and the initiatives to create value, because without value, it really won't be adopted. There really is no sense in getting for the users to actually adopt whatever we're trying to push them into. So create value and have focus on value. So that's a little bit about us. But we're here to talk about Office 365 and Teams in general. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is going to be a very basic information about Teams. We're going to give you the overview of the functionality and what it actually can be used for, and then a little bit more about the value that it can create for your business underlying. So, but before we jump into that, I'd actually like to just zoom out a little bit and look at the product suite of Microsoft 365, which Teams is a part of. So I put in a slide here that you all should be seeing right now, and it's a bit of an old overview of the different applications that are in Office 365 or Microsoft 365. Some of them actually don't exist anymore, like Staff Hub, but there's also come some other ones. But the gist of it is that there's a lot of different applications in Microsoft 365, Teams being one of them. And this is one of the points that one of the selling points actually when clients look to or organizations look to Microsoft 365 is the many possibilities that this provides. I mean, it pretty much sort of supports any type of business that you could think of. The problem is when they finally get the license and they start using it, they'll usually start migrating their Exchange, and then they have their emails and they say, okay, now what do we start with? And then it begins to be a little bit complex, because what do I do if I want to start up by working with projects in Microsoft 365? Do I use the project online application? Maybe I use Planner or Yammer, or maybe even Teams or SharePoint. And that's where it becomes a little bit complicated, because there is no right or wrong answer. It pretty much depends on whatever it is you want to do. So it's just to say that it could seem a little complex. So what we suggest is start small. That's another one of my mantras. Start small, learn as you go, and then sort of let it grow from there. And that way you also make sure that you have the users along for the ride, because if you all of a sudden open up for everything for the users, they'll get overwhelmed and then they most likely won't adopt it. So from our sense, we really try to strive to suggest and recommend that our clients and organizations in general just start in a little corner, let it, if it's Teams or if it's SharePoint or something else. So we think that Teams is a really good place to start. And the reason for this is it sort of is the glue that connects a lot of different things. It's a chat-based collaboration platform that gives you the possibility to chat with colleagues in and outside of your organization. You can have meetings with them as well, and it gives you a common place to work on projects and documents and having files stored. So it's a really, really valuable and effective tool, but it can be a little bit complex, we admit. But once you get to use it, it really, really can create a lot of value. So we'll be getting into that a little bit later. But let's look at Microsoft Teams a little bit more in detail. Would you help us out with that, Fredrik?
Yeah, of course. And now it's time to start explaining Microsoft Teams. It's built on chat functions, teamwork, design, and security features. If we start off with the chat for today's team, it has a good chat function. It's one-to-one. You can chat from one to many, and you can keep everyone in the loop. It's an effective tool to communicate, and you can bring in the history with new members that starts later on. And the team application, yeah, of course you can use it from your computer, and you can use it from the web, office.com, or you can use it from your mobile device, like everybody doing today in Corona times.
Yeah, and especially the mobile devices is really something that drives value. We've seen, even prior to the coronavirus, we've seen the workforce become more and more mobile. I think, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like 40% more mobile over the last 5 years. And this is where a sort of hub for teamwork on the fly with the mobile app is really essential and very important, even more so during the Corona break. But Teams in general is actually a really good hub and a place to sort of work together though, right, Fredrik?
Yeah, a hub for teamwork is where the magic happens. You can create a team for a project, an office location, a department. You can even create a private or a public team. If it's a private team, the owner of the team will decide which member is going to be. And if it's a public team, everybody in your tenant can join. And each team has an underlying channel. It's got subcategories below the team. It could be general, a private channel, or a sub-part of a project. This is also where you can share your files and get your files and share them with your colleagues. And you can even write in the same documents, but more on that later. Of course, you can also use the chat function, as I mentioned earlier, and you can have voice and video meetings within the team. Yeah, now I have talked about internal users within the tenant, but you can use Teams with external users also, right, Lars?
Yeah. I have a lot of experience with clients that really see a lot of value in actually using Teams, either to work, as I mentioned earlier, with their workforce that's mobile. It could be salespeople or whatever. But it also drives a lot of value in regards to working together with external people outside of your organization, be it either suppliers or partners or whatever. And it's really as you said, a hub for teamwork. It really is a place where, either if you're internal or external, it's a common workplace where you can consolidate and present knowledge, and you can work on documents and communication together. So basically, what you're doing is it's a place or an application that sort of facilitates collaboration wherever and whenever, and that kind of gets driven home as well, in that you can do some customizations to the different teams, right, Fredrik?
Yeah, you can change the design for each team. And it's both within the teams and the channel. You can change the logo and the picture to make it more personal and user-friendly. You can make team templates. If you create a new team, it looks exactly the same as the same structure in all projects, for example. And in every team and channel, you have tabs and application that pulls in information from other places, social media, website, or third-party application, or as simple as a tab shortcut to your most used files. And you can even design messaging policies, what users are allowed to do in Teams, that they are edit or delete messages, use stickers, memes, and so on.
So one of the things I really liked that you talked about here was the integration part, what I really think is important. This whole sense of it being a cockpit that sort of, or a one-stop shop where it sort of gets data from externally and then reports it to one place, so that you sort of have all you need in one nice application. That's a really nice and strong point in regards to Teams as well. But what about the security aspect of it, Fredrik?
Yeah, the security aspect it's actually the same as in all the other standard applications from Microsoft. If we start with enabling multi-factor authentication, MFA, this is ensuring your user's identity and that they are secure to access Teams. This will reduce the phishing and impersonation attempts with up to 99%. It's a second step of authentication. You get an SMS or an application approval on top of your username and password. And this works best with conditional access, allowing you to set up advanced policies from where and when to what program. The next thing we would recommend is Azure Information Protection. It's the same work in Teams that needs to be done on all other applications and file areas. We start off with Discover, Classify, Protect, and Monitor. And the next one is DLP. It's data loss prevention. It's credit card numbers and social security numbers, and the team can look at it, and it does whatever your GDPR label says it should do. Either it should warn you or give you a notification or block you entirely. And they can scan through messages and channel conversations. Another good security feature is ATP, and mostly regarding to Teams, it's safe links and safe attachments. And safe links is if you post the link on a chat or a team, it will get blocked if the page has a virus or ransomware in it. And the same with safe attachments. It scans the file before it gets published. And another good tip is to go through the security score in the Security Center to get some helpful points. But as always, education is the most important thing coming to security.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is in Sweden or Norway or Finland, but what I'm seeing in Denmark is a rise in interest in regards of the security, and we're doing a lot of security assessments where we go out to the clients and sort of help them out in regards to getting their security in check, and the security score is, of course, one of the tools that you can use. So very good. So all in all, this is the full Teams package. It really is rather diverse, and it really drives and delivers a lot of value in your organization through facilitating collaboration and knowledge sharing and communication and much more. So, and I have to admit, I don't know about you. I don't know how long you've been working from home, Fredrik, but especially during this crisis, I've really seen and discovered how much value it actually can create. Teams. How long have you been staying home so far?
It's 7 or 8 weeks now, so I'm starting to get used to it.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, you got me beat. I'm only on. I think this is the fourth or maybe fifth week. I'm already forgetting how long it is. So, but one thing is that we're working from home, and as I mentioned, it's really getting us to sort of see the values and the things that Teams can do for you. So what we decided to do in this webinar is also give you a little bit of an insight in some of the functionality in Teams that we appreciate a lot. Here's the list of it. I'll start off by mentioning one of my favorites, and that's actually the set the status message. During this time, I don't know about the rest of you, I have 2 teenage boys, and I also have a wife here at home. So I have a lot of different tasks during the day. I'm not necessarily working my regular 9-to-5 job. So what I'm doing is I'm getting interrupted in between having to be a school teacher, for instance, and other things. And that sort of is a disruptive work day, and something that we all have sort of probably grown accustomed to over the last month or so, working from home. And this is why this is such a good feature, because through the status message, I can inform my colleagues what my day is going to look like when they start reaching out to me. So for instance, if I have a day like I had in this picture right here, where I had wall-to-wall meetings, pretty much I was in a meeting from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I write it out on my message board and I say, you know what, if you guys want to contact me, maybe Teams isn't the right place. Maybe just drop an email and I'll get back to you ASAP. So that's a really, really important thing for me, at least, working from home, being able to inform my colleagues a little bit about what does my day-to-day look like and how can they best get a hold of me. So, but I know there's something else that you sort of have appreciated, Fredrik, and that's recording meetings, right?
Yeah, we started with that a while ago, and in a voice or video meeting, you can start a recording quite easily. Just press start recording, and the people on the meeting will get a notification or a sign that the meeting is being recorded. And after the meeting, you will get a notification of the meeting, the chat, like in the meeting chat, like the one on the right. It will be saved in Microsoft Stream. It's great if you missed the meeting or want to see it again when what has been decided, or you can see the video with the transcript text that what has been said.
Yeah, I have to admit, that's a really good thing. I know that we have had department meetings where, because of the disruptive workday that I just explained, I haven't been able to attend. And it's really good that you can go into Stream and you can go in and search in the transcript of the meeting and sort of search out if there's been any mentions about either myself or some of the projects that I've participated in. And in one instance, I actually went in and I searched the project, and they had actually talked about some things, and some of the actions that they had talked about in the meeting had sort of been dropped in the meeting. So I could easily just collect them up and then proceed on with my work. So it's actually a really good point that these transcripts are actually searchable and really can help you when you can't attend. So. And that sort of brings me to this next one, which is co-authoring, being able to collaborate on documents, Fredrik.
Yeah, we use this a lot in our teams, and in this example, we took an Excel file. Both me and Lars is working on the numbers together. I'm in blue, and Lars is purple below, and you can use this kind of collaboration with all the Office files. Anything else, Lars?
Yeah, the thing is that I didn't really realize, or I didn't really use this that much, I have to admit, before we started working from home. And the cool thing is, right outside of the picture, you can see my little purple picture up in the right-hand corner with the red arrow at it. Right to the side of that, you can actually start up a chat so that when you're actually collaborating on it, you can sort of write each other, and it really enhances the experience a lot. So yeah, this is also a very used functionality for me now, especially during these times where we're working so much from home. So now this next functionality in regards to working from home is one of my little babies. I really, really appreciate this. It's called Add Mentions. And unfortunately, Denmark isn't a huge Twitter nation. it really hasn't caught on as much as it has abroad, and that's a bit unfortunate because that means people really haven't been educated in using @mentions. And what @mentions is, and the problem with it not being used is it isn't carrying into their use of Teams either. And the thing with @mentions is it's a way to sort of call to action, to sort of bring people into either a discussion or a chat or something in a Teams that where you need some input from a third party or another person, or a colleague. And by using @mentions, you can sort of pull them in. And I really emphasize on when I'm out helping organizations, really emphasize them on beginning to use this and sort of embracing this and making this a part of their culture, because mentions, I sort of equal it to, if we look at the emails, the to field. When you send an email, you put somebody in the to field, you put somebody in the CC and the BCC. So everybody in the to field, you have an expectation that they actually act on whatever you're sending to them. I kind of see @mentions in Teams the same way. If you get an @mention, that means this is to you. So it's a really good way of sort of creating to-dos for colleagues and for yourself. And the good thing is that, as it shows here on the page, when I've been away and I've had this disruptive workday where I've been a little bit of a tutor for my 13-year-old, I can come back to work and then I can go up at the top of the command bar and do a /mentions, and it will present me with the feed, which is the one on the right, with all the different mentions that I've been mentioned in. So it actually shows me a to-do list of things that I need to address. Really, really important thing to grasp and to sort of take into your culture. It can really create a lot of value and really make your workers effective, in my book. Another thing that I'm actually quite fond of, and I was this before we started working from home actually, and this is the bookmark it. And the bookmark is what we actually know from social media. You can do it, I think, on Instagram and also in Facebook and LinkedIn. And basically what you can do is if it's in a chat or a messaging board or some sort, you can go in and you can click and save the message. And usually if you see something that you want to read, but it might be a little bit lengthy and you don't really have time for it, you can just go in and you can save it. And then at a later date, you'll have some time where you can go in and then you can read the things that you didn't have time to earlier and sort of catch up on all the things that you wanted to read. And another situation where this actually comes in real handy is when I have something that is I see in a chat that is really important and I know I'm going to be using it later, because that's one of the drawbacks with persistent chat that you see in Facebook and LinkedIn and also in Teams, is that if it's being used, it actually kind of disappears. The chat sort of continues and the information that you want to find is sort of rolls up into the background, and you have to go look for it again afterwards. So what I typically do is I go in and I'll find and I'll save whatever important information it is, so that I can go in later and I'll find it in my saved feed later on. So this is also something that I've used it prior to working from home as much as we do right now, but I also have done it very much now lately as well. So. And I know this meeting notes and meeting chat also is something that you've embraced, Frederick.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when we're working from home as much as we do now, it's even more focused on video meetings than before. With all these meetings, you can use the built-in meeting notes, so it all stays in one place. It's easy to find afterwards as well. And of course, you have the meeting chat to the right here on the picture. You can write questions, you can share files, and so on, and it also will be saved within the meeting.
Yeah, and it also when you do if you have a meeting within a team and you start the meeting notes, it automatically creates a tab in that team that's called meeting notes. So you have a place where all the meeting notes are stored, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're talking on accessories to meetings, I know that a lot of people are missing the old-fashioned whiteboard in the room, and it's back now, the digital way at least. And if we go over to the whiteboard here, you just press the share button as you normally do when you're presenting a PowerPoint. And to the right, there are a blue icon. It says whiteboard. And everybody with a touch screen now can collaborate again.
Yeah, this is really good. I'm a guy that is a workshop guy, so I love my Post-its and I love my whiteboards. So having this functionality, and when I'm having, I have regularly have workshops actually online during this Corona break. I've had workshops online where we've use this whiteboard and we can still have that interconnected experience because we can all go up and write and this time without having ink all over the fingers afterwards like I usually do. So yeah, so what we usually do is we pop up the whiteboard and then we have a color each of us, and then we can sort of go in there and write it, and it of course is saved as well so that we have it for use later on. A really nice feature. So these were a little bit about some of the functionalities that we've embraced from working from home. Again, like I started saying, there's a lot of functionalities that I've sort of taken for granted before I had to work a lot more from home. And these are some of them. There's a lot more. It's just about going out there and just trying to sort of figure it out and try things out. But definitely, these are some of the ones that have helped me in this time. So now, one of the positive things about Office 365 is, and Teams in general, is that it's what I call an evergreen platform. Now, I might be exposing my age a little bit, but back in the day, I was when I was to start using an application, I would get a CD and I would put it in my computer, and then I would install the application. And that was all fine and well, and I'd be working on the application for a long time, and not until somebody really forced me to, I would put in a new CD and update it, and then I would get new functionality. So that's a completely different time from now where everything is in the cloud, and that's why I call it an evergreen platform, because it's always evolving, it's always changing. So it's getting updates all the time. And I don't remember the exact number, but I think Office 365 gets between 300 or 400 updates a year. So you have an application that's constantly evolving and changing with the demands of the market. And Microsoft is very they're very on top of things in regards to what is happening in the market, and they are in part that by using the user voice website. There's a user voice website where all the people that use the applications day to day can go in and vote on new and request new functionality or changes to the functionality that's already there. And then Microsoft will take them up, and if there's enough votes on it, they'll start working on it and implementing it into to Office 365, which is a really cool thing that we now have the possibility of actually changing the course of an application that is so vital and we use every day. But this also means that new functionality is coming all the time. And I think it's pretty safe to say, Frederick, that this is going to be a segment that we're going to have in the upcoming webinars as well. And that's what is the new things that are in Teams right at the moment. And we've picked a couple of these things out. Some of them are already up and going, and some of them are on the way. One of the ones that was highly anticipated and also highly used right now, and also in memes and throughout internet culture, is the background. It started all with the CNN interview where a reporter was at home and reporting from home, and his kid came walking in behind the video, or behind him in the video. And then rather quickly thereafter, Microsoft had a blurred function, and this is the one that you see in the middle right on this page that we have now. Since then, it's sort of evolved into that people also want to be able to show other things. So you now have, I think is it 20 or 24 different backgrounds to choose between, right, Frederick?
Yeah, something like that, 24,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, so now there's 24 preset backgrounds, anywhere from office environment to sitting on the beach. It's pretty much up to you. And as you can see, Frederick has been playing a little bit, and he's actually created his own background. You can do that with a little bit of tech savviness. It doesn't take a whole lot, but it will also be released into the general public soon, that you can go in and you can actually sort of create your own background, and as Frederick has done here, has sort of branded Dustin in that sense. So a really cool and nice feature to have. Also, especially in these Corona times, I don't know about you, but having 4 people working at home from the same place, sometimes I'm left in my teenager's room with basketball posters around me and old gym clothes. So it's really nice to be able to sort of blur that out and not have people to be able to look at all his things. Another thing that has been very much anticipated is the multi-window capability. Frederick, can you talk about a little bit about that and what that is?
Yeah, I have been waiting on this feature from day one. You will now or soon have the options to pop out a chat or a meeting or work with a document in a separate window. And having this option allows users to work more effectively. This feature is not available yet, but it's coming soon. But in the meanwhile, you can use the web browser for a second team application like I do.
Yeah, and this is and for people that haven't started using Teams, this will actually be one of the things they'll look forward to the most. One of the only drawbacks of Teams, I feel, is that everything happens in one window. So I could be in one team and having a discussion with my team, and needing some information that I know is in one of the other teams that I'm also participate in. So what I need to do is then I need to go out of that team, go search and find the other team and find that information, and then navigate myself all the way back again. It's pretty annoying. The workaround, as you say right now, Frederick, is to have the web version of Teams running at the same time as the client version as well. So that way you can sort of tab, as you do usually when you use applications, tab between the different windows. That really helps a lot. But there's no doubt that this feature is really going to be taken well when it goes live here. I think it's in the beginning of May, right? April, May.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So something to look forward to and to be happy about. That's for damn sure. Another thing is, again, having to work from home, you kind of miss being able to see other people than your family. I have to admit, and the whole video conferencing thing has been a bit of a game changer. Being able to see people and interact with people by following them on a video feed has been very valuable for me before the virus break, but especially now during us all working from home. The only problem in Teams is that right now it's only showing a maximum of 4 videos at a time. And that's a little bit on the low side because you're usually a little bit more than that, and it kind of changes between whoever is talking. But now they're going to be releasing in the beginning of May a 9-person view, as you can see on the screen right now, which is really going to help a lot in regards to being able to sort of see each other and understand each other in a better way than you have been able to previously. And it sort of also helps a lot on the social side, right, Frederick?
Yeah, it's crucial to stay social also. It's really important to activate video to ensure these troubled times.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So one of the final ones, we have one more after this, but one of the final ones is the live captions. And this is a bit mind-blowing if you ask me, because what it actually offers is that when I'm talking, if I'm either speaking English or German or Chinese, it will create a real-time subtitle of what I am talking about in a live meeting. So, for instance, if I'm communicating with a factory in China, I could be speaking English and they would be getting a translation in Chinese in subtitles on their page, whereas they could just speak Chinese and I'd get subtitles in English in mine. So this really breaks down the barriers of being able to communicate across borders and with different nationalities. And I can't remember how they've already, I think, communicated how many languages it's going to support. Fredrik, do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it's about 50 languages, but I'm certain of that all the Scandinavian languages are supported as a subtitle with text.
Yeah, that's right. I do know that Finnish, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish are definitely in the first portion of the languages that can get subtitled. So again, the voice itself has to be either English, German, or Chinese, but the subtitles can be up to 50 different ones. So a really, really effective way, and completely mind-blowing from my perspective, that we have a whole industry that lives off of creating subtitles for films and TVs that now by Microsoft is being resolved just by an artificial intelligent robot. Kind of a funny thing now. So. The one thing that we also we forgot to talk about is the raise hands in Teams meetings, right, Fredrik?
Yeah, it's not that much, but it's just a raise hand. It's just an icon that you can press to indicate that you have something to say in a video meeting, but you don't want to disturb the presenter. So it's just a small icon that helps you keep the order on in the meeting.
Yeah, it's really. I know that this feature actually was developed for the education version of Teams. That's sort of targeted educational institutions like universities or schools, and that's, of course, it's pretty obvious that could be a really, really effective tool to have when you have a class of 30 kids. I've seen some of my kids, both my kids actually use, or both my boys use Teams at their schools, and it's pretty much mayhem when the teacher's online with 20 or 30 kids. So having this raise hands feature is really obviously a good function for them, but actually also a really good function in our work life as well. In our regular work meetings, I've been missing it. I don't know about you, Fredrik. I have been missing it. That's for damn sure. So. And this was some of the things in Teams that are either in preview or upcoming. Live captions is in preview now, so you can actually go use that in live meetings today. But I know that there's a lot of other things that are up and coming. I know that they're looking and working on a closer integration between Outlook and Teams, and the chats in Teams and the emails in Outlook. Today, it's already possible to send emails to a channel in Teams, but I think the integration is going to be taken even further in some of the new functionality coming out. I also hear that they're going to be doing even more, or even more enhanced integration between SharePoint and Teams. There are some commonalities. When you create a team today, you also create a SharePoint site. That's where the files live. And you're also able to present SharePoint sites in Teams via the tabs. So there's some integration, but I hear that that's something that's going to be even more worked on in the near future. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we're going to have a webinar series, and I believe this is going to be a permanent feature on this permanent segment in our webinars, to sort of keep you up to date on what kind of things are up and coming, and what kind of features you can look forward to. So this was a little bit about what we have to say about Teams and working with it from home, and also some of the new aspects of Teams. But I'd like to bring back Marcus, because I think he would like to talk a little bit about how Dustin is helping their clients today, or can help your organization in regards to starting their digital journey in Office 365 or Microsoft 365. Right, Marcus?
Yes, and thank you guys for sharing all the content.
Sure.
So I have picked out 2 different kinds of offerings that Dustin have regarding to Teams today. One, of course, is the Office 365 E1 trial that Microsoft now have extended to up to 6 months. And on top of that, Dustin have added end user support trial for up to 6 months as well. So if you're not licensed for Teams today, you are can use this trial in your environment. One other offering is the Teams adoption workshop that we do with different clients. Here you can see some of the topics that will be touched in the workshop, and I knew Lars have done quite a few of this workshop, and he hopefully can share some of his experience.
Yeah. A lot of my day is actually out doing these type of workshops. There's a couple of different versions of them. There's the one where we just do complete, just straight out training, where we help the IT professionals in our customers' company sort of navigate how to configure and start Teams up, and also help on the governance side. And then we do the training to the customers. But a lot of the clients that we're actually also engaging with are coming from a whole other place. They're not really digital yet, and they maybe have they either don't have the licenses yet, or they have the license and have just taken the first step of migrating their email or Exchange into the cloud, and then they sort of stop right there. So what we then can offer them is to come out and have a discussion with them about what kind of pains they have in their day-to-day, and then taking those pains, we take them through some different trial versions of Office 365 where they get a hands-on view of how would you be able to handle those pains if you were to have Microsoft 365 installed in your organization. And this seems like a little bit of a wow experience for the clients. They really can see, okay, this can really raise the bar in regards to how we collaborate and really make our employees more effective in their day-to-day work. So it's really a positive experience for me. I love going out and talking to clients and sort of understanding their businesses, but also for the clients in regards to figuring out, is this something that we need to do? Digitalization is something that's very much talked about, and a lot of clients are wanting to go or have already started embarking on that journey. But how do we do that?
Great, Lars. Thanks for sharing. And I see that time are running up, and we want to move forward with just saying thank you all for watching this. And we have lots of questions, more questions that we could imagine, but the most important one is that yes, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for you later on. And we will also send out information with all the questions you have asked in an email to you after this webinar. Here you can see some sneak peek of the future topics that we will have in our series of webinars. So with that said, time's up, and big thanks for all that have watched us today. And stay in touch with Dustin. You will have more information about the webinars coming up.
Yes, thank you everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.